What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward as we have very important earnings calls which are about to start, not to mention more data about the markets. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon in just about 8 days from now. Anyways, NIO was down a bit alongside Tesla and lots of stocks out there. The market did end up seeing a little bit of a pullback. And we're going to be watching some key levels, especially as we have these big earnings reports coming out. So just know that for the markets, as we approach tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing and Services PMI reports. And then after all that data comes out, we'll be watching to see what happens with Bowman giving a speech and different factors like that. But that's all I'm seeing, at least for now, for the markets. When it comes to earnings, as a reminder, I went over some of these earlier, but just know that we have Tesla and Alphabet announcing their earnings. So far, things are not so great. We have the calls coming out very soon as well. So we'll just have to see how things go. The calls are about to start, so I will talk about those maybe later on as well. But I just want to say that for Tesla, they ended up missing on EPS, which is not the best of news for them. 52 cents per share was EPS, which is below the expectations of 61 cents. And revenue is at 25.5 billion above expectations, which is quite good. That's pretty good news in my opinion. But with the missing revenue, that's why the share price is down a bit. Not to mention the fact that there's some fear about what might end up happening during the call. Tesla has a very important call they're about to make very soon. I think it's about to start like any minute now. But I'm just calling it out right now because the share price is down quite a bit and they need Elon Musk to make some big announcements. The call could go on for over 2 hours if Musk talks for a long time about robotics and such. So you want to be very, very careful. Their cash at the end of the quarter or cash equivalents / investments were at about $30.7 billion. There's not really much changing there. Google / Alphabet saw its earnings as well come out. We had revenue increase 14% to about $84.7 billion. Operating margins are at 32%, with EPS being a beat of 4 cents, up to about $1.89. Not bad whatsoever, with the YouTube ads being up and their overall Google Cloud revenue increasing. So that's something else that's worth noting. For NIO, I just saw some news about how it's going to be hosting the NIO in 2024 on July 27th in Shanghai. We're going to be looking for some more AI events that are coming out, and a lot of talk right now, at least for some very, very important developments. So something that's worth noting. Not much is changing in this data. The price-risk ratio is kind of lowering because NIO is losing support, and volume is still not that high for NIO. So what do I see for the share price? I want to remind everyone that Tesla is, it just announced its earnings, and the share price is actually down right now. If I pull up, let me just show you on the 30 minutes time frame. Tesla is dipping right now in the after hours, not looking so great after this earnings report is about to start. We're waiting for the call. When you look at the 4-hour time frame, Tesla has to hold 232. If we lose that, this thing is going to be dipping all the way down to the 220s for a big drop. If we hold above that, we could try to hold. We'll have to wait and see. We need Elon Musk to say some things about AI, robotics to really help this thing try to rebound. We need some strong guidance. As of right now, the share price is dipping, so we'll have to see if this holds up or not. So just be careful. But the call is what's going to determine if this is going to continue to fall or not. For Google, Google's also kind of down right now. It's kind of flat. We'll have to see if it could hold its 200 EMA at 179 or not. So just be very careful. If we continue to fall, the structure could take us to much lower levels into the 170s. So far, we'll see. Will we break out to 190? Will we get a rug pull down to the 170s? We're just waiting to see, depending on how the call goes. But this is having a big effect on the overall market. So for NIO, whatever happens with Tesla's earnings will affect us. If Tesla gets a rug pull, we could be looking for NIO to dip towards 4.4s and eventually come down into the 4.2s. And for a bullish, we'll be looking for a bounce above 4.7. As of right now, we're looking a little bit more bearish on NIO, so just be very, very careful, be very, very mindful of this. So that's something else that's worth noting. Now, let me just talk about SPY and the others just to give you guys a quick update. SPY has me concerned, guys. I'm very concerned on the 4-hour, especially on the 30 minutes time frame as well. The problem is we were not able to close or hold above 555.2, excuse me. If we had broken above that and held, I would be more optimistic. But instead, we rejected, and we actually are forming a head and shoulders like structure. So this does open the risk for us to dip to the lower 550s. It's looking a little bit more bearish. We'll see if Tesla and Google end up affecting this, but just know that right now technicals favor downside, especially as we have this big gap to fill at 548. For Nvidia, there's a head and shoulders like structure as well. We need to break past 124 to turn bullish. If we lose 121, I'll be looking for a dip all the way down to 118 all over again to fill that gap. So just be careful on Nvidia with the head and shoulders forming. Bitcoin's on a bit of a downtrend as of right now. If we end up losing 65,500, look for a bigger dip. Looking kind of bearish as well, in my opinion. The QQQ is looking kind of bearish as well. We have a head and shoulders. I wanted to see this break past 485 to turn bullish. Because we kind of failed to do so, we have a big gap below, and there's a risk of some downside, in my personal opinion. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. But that's what I'm kind of seeing, at least for now. There is a risk of some downside right over here. So if we end up losing 478, we'll be looking for this gap all the way down to about 475. There is a head and shoulders, so just be very, very careful. For Aapl has a nice rejection of kind of forming on its 200 EMA. Rejected 1, 2, 3 times, and there is a risk of some downside. To turn bullish, you want to see it break past 226.6. If we lose support right here around 224, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 222 and then eventually 220. With these rejections kind of forming on the 200 EMA, I think that there is going to be a risk of some downside, so I'll have to watch and see if that ends up being the case. Aapl, in my personal opinion, has some downside metrics, so just be very careful and give it some time. I also want to call out ES. ES also has a similar setup as SPY with the head and shoulders. So there is a risk of us dipping if we don't reclaim 5620. If that fails, this will be dipping all the way down towards the 5550 area. So just be careful. NQ has not reclaimed 20,000. If we fail to do so, it's going to continue to dip. So it's looking kind of bearish. Like I said about Aapl, looking kind of bearish as well. So just be mindful of that. Let me just go over a few more before I conclude the video. The IWM is still looking more bullish, might dip to retest 222. If we bounce off that, look for 224. If we lose that, we're going down to 220. Still looks more bullish to me. Coinbase is trying to rebound. If we break past 260, we'll be looking for a big push. If we fail, we'll be looking for basically a dip all the way down to 253, but just be very, very mindful of this. Amazon's kind of rejecting. If we end up losing 186.5, we'll be dipping down to 185. I do think it might retest 185, and we'll see if we bounce or not. But it formed a nice inverse head and shoulder setup, but now it's kind of rejecting off resistance at 190. For Meta, we're kind of rejecting as well. If we fail to hold 480, I'll be looking for this imbalance to fill towards 470. 475 is coming next, so I do see some downside potential in Meta. And then for Microsoft is establishing a lower high, so I do see a risk of 443 being tested. If that fails, 440 is coming, so just be careful. Google is still in the middle, kind of dipping a little bit more, so let's be very careful with this. If Google and Tesla both dip, guys, it's not going to be a good sign. We'll see what happens with their earnings calls. Tesla's barely at 234, so I'm a little bit concerned. This might actually slow the market down, so just be careful. They'll use this as an excuse to dump things. I'm just trying to say it that way. It's not like Tesla dictates the whole market. The market is more dictated by algorithms and also what these big players are doing. Not going to go into the full details. I just wanted to mention that GameStop is kind of rejecting here. I think we might be retesting the 24s. So look for some downside. And then AMC is also on a bit of a downtrend as well. So that could also lead to more downside for 5 and eventually 4.8. So that being said, guys, the market's looking like it's about to get a rug pull. This might cause NIO to drop all the way down to about 4.2. If we lose 4.4, I'll be looking for 4.2. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. There's nothing NIO could do about this. It just has to do with the technicals, the overall market, Tesla's slowing down and such. Tesla's also a big leader in the EV sector, and right now, things are slowing down for it. So just be very careful and very mindful of this news. With that being said, we'll see what Tesla announces. Their earnings call starts soon. I'll talk more about that later on. Until I give you guys one more update, I might give you guys one more update later just to talk about it. But for now, I'm just going to kind of end the video from here. So have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.